Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Is there an echo or anything?
This is a funny title for the debate because I actually don't hate sugar. I was just contributing my piece when so that we can improve our rhetoric for dealing with retards.
I think he's muted.
This is why.
I hear him.
Oh, I
you.
can't hear him.
Yeah,
I can't hear him.
well,
I mean, I'm
Oh.
using like a hardwired headset.
yeah, no, you sound fine. It's just it's something.
It's me. It's me. Let me hop out and hop back at. Yeah, it's me probably.
So I know you're new to our group, but we are very the low carb thing is definitely something like a
Oh, I know it's
Kristen
a psyop.
and Allie
sure.
and I we
I
ride
know it's a
bicycles.
psyop, for sure.
We ride bikes and do races, and like Allie will go, ride 60 miles in a day.
And I wanted to
when you're doing that kind of endurance training and endurance stuff, you know what works for your body and you know what doesn't work for your body. And like in all the debates I do, I mostly go after keto and carnivore people, because the low carb diet is being pushed on us because in the last 10 years, the meat and dairy industry has it's taken a tank. Not as many people are eating meat and dairy. Therefore, they paid all these influencers to push this. Oh, just eat meat. Don't even eat anything else. Just and sugar's bad for you when really, in reality, we have glucose receptors on our tongues. We don't have fat or protein receptors on our tongues. Glucose, which is sugar, even white table sugar, is juiced cane sugar that has been put through a filter and dried in the sun. I get the whole, like we're for the most part whole food vegans over here. I get the whole you can't eat processed stuff all day, but processed food is definitely not all bad for you. The low sugar thing is definitely propaganda, because there's been plenty of studies about the low carb diet, and they all show a huge percent increase in mortality, all cause mortality of all diseases. So we don't really, I mean, and everybody, we've all been programmed to hate sugar or to talk shit about sugar.
I just want to talk about what I wanted to talk about. Do we have to?
Yeah, I don't know how this started. I just
because like I said, I just want to clarify my statement.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, I have to work in a little bit. So essentially, as people, like the title of our chat that I shared this in was Hardline Natural Law, right? So that's the ethos behind everything, right? So these moral relativists are going to constantly try to come at us with excuses and scientism to justify their behaviors, or to try to pick apart our arguments to falsely insinuate that we're being fallacious. Okay. And so when I saw the sugar thing, I thought that was great, because you're right. Like, what someone's level of activity is different, and like whatever, like there's good, better, best, and like as long as you're not a fucking carnist and a violence consumer, then like do whatever the fuck you want. That's what natural law is. Okay, there's good, better, best, but let's keep in mind that sports are rules based, and that's a microcosm of the medical sciences altogether. Those are also rules based, and those rules are set in place by atheistic motherfuckers who don't believe in truth and want to make money off of human maladies. So what I'm saying is,
hold on, I lost you there for a second. So I mean, not lost you. I'm not following. So sports is what okay.
Yeah, sports
so
are
we say we ride bikes. It's not necessarily like we ride to some rules of some sports. We're just
what I'm saying is it's an activity you like to do. No, don't pick it apart, because I agree with every single one of you and you agree with me, and let me tell you why. Because this is not a defeatist argument. This is logic of the highest type. Okay. There's a reason why we do something. And if that reason is not immoral, then you have the.
Oh, I'm on a podcast. Oh, shit.
Okay. So riding a bike is not immoral, right? Eating sugar is not immoral. And what I'm saying is it gets to a point with reductionist and empiricist arguments about what is or what is not good, because we don't want these carnists and moral relativists to try to divert us from what is morally correct and anatomically correct, because the current modern system of science is literally based on marketing. Every single piece of scientism research is funded by goddamn government. Okay. So what I'm saying is there are times where you have to ignore the facts because they're not relevant. You focus on ethos. So I don't agree or disagree with sugar. If a carnist outperforms a vegan athlete, like I wouldn't worry about that so much, because like I imagine a vegan who rides because they fucking enjoy it. You're not like trying to like make all this money or fucking endorsements from like Post and Kellogg's and all that shit. Like, and these people will attack, your version. They'll attack you if you're a raw food guy, or they'll attack you like people attack me that says processed foods are bad. And, bro, I'm a human being, and they create an artificial concept of a perfect diet that does not exist. You know what humans eat? We eat the food that's in front of us. So whatever you can do that works, as long as it's moral, is okay. And so if somebody finds that, like, we shouldn't debate, like, we're not going to dissect the body and try to run a bunch of blood tests and find out what's moral, because that's how you give yourself an opportunity to get taken over by big pharma.
Do you guys
They're
want to
gonna
listen to a song that we just made up?
No, I want to say what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying is the original sports, the primordial sports, were wrestling, swimming, running. Do you know what I mean? Every year in the Olympics, they add another bunch of fucking games that have nothing to do with athleticism. And the point of being active, besides recreation, is so that you can be physically prepared to respond to a threat in your environment. So my math teacher explained to us when we were in school, so why do we have to do these math problems when I'm not going to be a mathematician and I'm going to go work in a factory? And my teacher, Mr. Kane, said, well, you're on the football team, right? And he said, yeah. He said, okay, so when in the football game do you get down on the ground and doing push-ups? And he said, oh, never. And he's like, okay, then why do you do push-ups in practice? And he's like, because it makes you stronger. And he said, okay, well, these are brain push-ups. So what I'm saying is that, like, sports are one thing and nutritional science is another thing, and they're all great, but I don't let that stop me from advocating like natural law, because that's how the empiricists will get you. They think they have to have a reductionist argument for everything, but it's not the case. It's literally, if it's not wrong, then it's a right, and then you can optimize those things for you. But making a blanket statement for or against carbs is ridiculous. But I agree, humans are meant to eat carbs. There's no such thing as a low carb vegan diet that doesn't end in your fucking death.
That's true. Very
That's
true.
true.
You think you're
I
going to
agree
eat
there.
nuts alone? And if by some miracle someone survives on nuts alone, good for them. But why would I prescribe that for everybody else?
Oh, that's disordered eating. It's not
It is.
vegan anymore. It's just disordered eating.
We're interested in nonviolent eating, so that's however you go about that, it's fine.
Yeah. So, I'm like rarely in a position where I'm being attacked as a vegan. I'm usually doing the
I
offensive.
didn't
So
attack.
it's kind of
I just passionately
I'm
said I agree with you, but let's not get.
no, I'm
into
not. No, I'm saying
scientism.
when you were talking about the carnists attacking us and
Oh yeah,
using scientism with us, because most of the
well,
science is
they
backing
are.
us.
Yeah, but that
So
doesn't stop them from lying to people.
well, I don't. Those people are made examples of very quickly. I don't think it's really anything we need to change our rhetoric about.
Okay.
Especially with science and health stuff, because that's kind of like the thing we're most into.
So you guys,
yeah.
I almost got kicked out of the group chat for our class because I said that the carnists in the room were being possessed by demons, and I said I silenced the demons that speak through, and then I named some of the carnists, and then like they freaked out.
They're possessed by ideas that amplify their ego. Yeah, because they're possessed.
Almost got kicked out. They're like,
they're possessed by their ideologies. They believe.
No, they're possessed by the little bit of tiny bit of power that they have being an admin in a chat group.
It's not wrong if you know it's wrong.
If that was put on the macro, if they were given power over millions of people, they would do shit like that to them.
Because they're a bad person.
Correct.
Allie and Braxton got kicked out of the Europa Law Group for defending me when I left last week. And it's these clowns. It's like these people take one of Mark's classes and then they think they're a god.
Yeah.
And they get to change all his rules and change the things he talks about. And these people were all mad.
Satanists.
Yeah. These people were mad because I was criticizing someone that they look up to. And I was criticizing them for a good reason. And they're like, oh, we need to just support each other all the time. And I'm like, where are you guys getting this bullshit from? You guys have been in this team for 10 years.
Tyler's
where are you getting this bullshit from?
Right, Jerry? Peace is value.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so I got attacked by other vegans even.
Yeah.
Other vegans attacked me for putting the link to my show up. They're like, we get it. You like veganism. And they're all colluding with their carnist buddies.
They want to have carnist friends because they're selling.
Yeah. Because all the people around Mark, except for a few, are carnists.
Right.
And all these leaders that have come out. It's like, dude, if I had 10 years of Mark Passio natural law under my belt, I'd have a lot more to show for than what these guys are using as their claim to fame. Just riding the coattails of Mark and then behind his back, basically trash talking him.
By their works, you will know them. For every 12, there's a fucking Judas. Check this out. So listen to this. Okay. Like Allie, I've never spoken to her personally, but I saw her YouTube, and so she's a devotee, so she'll know what I mean. Oh fuck! My screen died. Can you guys hear me?
What did you say she was?
I can hear you.
My screen died. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Allie's into Krishna consciousness, right?
I'm not sure if it's Krishna, but she's into a bunch of different stuff. I wouldn't say she's only into one thing, really.
No, Krishna, but I said specifically it's something that I saw. So that's interesting because the reason I came to know and appreciate Mark's work is because my screen like just died, but
we're seeing you fine. We can see you.
Yeah.
So what it comes down to is yoga. Like as far as engaging oneself in service of truth, that's the definition of yoga, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So everything you do it in service to the source of all movement.
Yoga. Yeah.
In the Bhagavad Gita, it says everything you eat, everything you do, like think of me, right? And we know that the source of creation is not a torturer, as Mark eloquently put it. So anybody arguing against doing the least amount of harm within your fucking might is immoral. Like if you have the ability to reduce the amount of harm done to something, if you knew you knew for a fact there were germs on the ground in one spot and you didn't have to step on them, then you shouldn't step there. End of story. So the people that want to say, oh, I follow natural law and I follow Mark, but That's called in the Bhagavad Gita the carping spirit, and it says, because you're devoid of the carping spirit, I've decided to reveal this to you. So carping is an old word. It comes from the same word as same root as carpe, to seize onto, to grab hold, or to pick at. So that's why even in the Gita and even in the Vedanta systems of Indian logic, they refuse to debate with people who refuse to accept that there is such a thing as truth, because it ends up just being a cesspool of fucking sewage being spewed out of their mouths. And that's what an egoist does, because an egoist worships his false ego as God. But the true ego will always bring you back to truth, and that's when you can just mercilessly ridicule the other vegans and say, what's wrong with this? Why do you want to get along with everybody, or why do you want me to tone it down? It's because you want to have friends, so you want to compromise truth.
It's a social scene. It's a social
and that's why Krishna said, well, at the very last line of the Bhagavad Gita, it says, wherever there is Krishna, there will also be, morality and victory and opulence. You don't tolerate it. See, the point, the entire allegory, the entire truth of the Gita is that you have to be, you try to make compromises and you try to get along, but you never compromise the truth. So if somebody doesn't understand something, you can try to explain it in so many words, but it comes, Krishna says, shit or get off the pot, dude. You're either going to do it or you don't, but I already know the outcome. And so essentially, to go in circles with people to point them towards truth is one thing, but at some point you have to be unyielding and say, I don't care if I don't have any family or friends after this argument, because the truth is my friend. It's my mother and my father. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva bandhus chasaka tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva saravam mama deva deva. Thou art my mother, my father. Thou art wealth and knowledge unto me, and thou art my all in all, O Lord of Lords, meaning truth. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's called one thing, tat, which is that. Tat tvam asi is the maxim, the first maxim of the Vedas. Thou art that. So if you're not living up to truth, then you're living a lie, and your life will be shit. That's the conclusion of the Gita.
Darren, have you read the book Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
Yes, I have.
Oh, cool. I read that a bunch of times growing up. Yeah, it sounds like you did. Yeah. Christian, have you read that?
I have not, and I know of it now, but now I feel like I'm forced to read it.
I think even Mark has it in his arc even, but my grandma was really into the yoga stuff and Krishna, and she gave me that book, and I ended up being way into, I found veganism through like Krishna kind of like
and
hardcore
you can see
bands
how
and stuff
they
like
get,
that, Earth Crisis
like,
and stuff like
Krishna
that. So
people can be crazy religionists too, like fundamentalists,
yeah,
where they
for
think
sure.
the rule, like if you don't chant this many rounds on your beads, and I'm like, Prabhu, humbly,
and they use
the point of chanting the beads? Is it so you fix your mind on Krishna? Well, what if your mind is fixed on Krishna? Then isn't it wrong to fixate on beads? And they're like, well, the mythology says, and I'm like, bro, you're not getting the mythology. The mythology says, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. The end. And they're like, oh, but to surrender, you have to do this. They're religious in a nonsensical way. True religion, the only one thing that should tie you back, the only thing of which you should be a slave, is truth. Everything else can fuck off.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Christian. So this book's about a Olympic gymnast that crashes his motorcycle and destroys his body. And then he kind of like this guy pops up named Socrates that's a vegan Krishna, like kind of like badass philosopher guy who's in his head really, and like helps him get back to going to the Olympics and getting, I don't know if he got gold, but he went back to the Olympics after completely destroying his body. And it's just kind of all about his process and fixing himself spiritually and shit. It was really cool to find that in the Ark, because I read that book a bunch of times when I was too young to even understand it. And to find, because I asked Allie, I was like, Allie, do you know if this book is new age bullshit? Because I didn't really know, but then I ended up finding it in the Ark, so it was kind of cool.
It's under metaphysics in the Dewey Decimal System. I read it when I was 17. I'm 36 now.
Oh, what a trip! Yeah,
I visited the Hare Krishna temple when I was 18.
Yeah, I was into that. I was in the vegan straight edge stuff, and there was so much Krishna influence in that.
It gets annoying with the fundamentalism. That's why I moved out of the ashram. I was a monk for a while.
Oh, cool! Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
cool.
I joined. They call it Atma Nivedana, like to voluntarily give up your soul so the Supreme can guide you in life. Atma Nivedana. Nive is like away from or like unto. Dana is like the verb to give. So Atma Nivedana, to give oneself unto. And so I literally took all my possessions, including guitars, clothes, keyboards, synthesizers, effects processors, like literally every possession I owned, except for a couple changes of clothes, put on a dhoti and went to the airport and flew to an ashram and lived there. Like, I'm talking about everything of value monetarily that I owned, I gave up. And I went there and I had motherfuckers telling me that I shouldn't have this Bible from 1851 or 1855. It was a bilingual German and English Bible from the American Bible Society pre-Civil War.
That's cool.
And I was like, bro, I got this for $1 in a flea market in Raleigh, Durham. Why the hell would I get rid of it? And they're like, because we have Prabhupada's books. And I'm like, dude, I'm on a mission from God to save the world. That's why I came here. I don't know why you came here, but I don't need to listen to this shit. And like, I got treated like dog shit, bro, because they're like, oh, he's fat, he has sleep apnea, he snores. They made me sleep in an attic where somebody died a few years back, and they were all scared because they're like, it's a ghost. And I'm like, are you guys a bunch of pussies? We're in a temple. If there's a ghost in the temple, obviously person, right? You faggot. And I just, why would I be scared of a ghost that lives in the temple? Are you stupid? Do you believe your God can't protect you from a ghost that he allows in the temple? You bitch. And I literally found me actually shoving somebody in the middle of a kirtan in the temple in front of a swami and yelling for him to shut the fuck up. I literally started a physical ruckus because these guys are fucking bitches. Like,
yeah, they
religious fanatics. It doesn't matter. I've been to churches. I've been to the Mormons. I literally investigated every religion I could get my hands on. And then I realized it's not of the religion itself. Like, yes, most of them are psyops, but it comes down to the character of a person. If a person, like I know people, I've family who are like priests and monsignors and stuff like that in the Catholic Church. And if you get to somebody and then like you ask them, I'm like, well, what if it's wrong? What if your book is wrong just by chance? And they go, well, like they think about it, and like sometimes you just say like, well, what if it is better to not eat meat? And then they'll be like, well, yeah, St. Francis was a vegetarian, so like I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, there's open-minded people even in closed-minded belief systems. So it's not the actual like organization, but what I found out is through investigating all religions, I've met really intelligent like Sufi sheikhs, and I've met really, really humble and good like Hindus, devotees of Shiva, Shakti, Krishna devotees, Buddhists, because what's cool about the Buddha is he was like, oh, you're interpreting the Vedas as to mean that animal sacrifice is good. Well, take those books and throw them away. And I'm just going to tell you like it is. I am the Buddha. Do what is good, not what is evil. Call that the Dhammapada. Scribble it out however you want. That's it. How about just live a good life? And they're like, well, what is good? And he was like, well, here's 8 things that are good. Because people kept asking the Buddha questions, and he was like, I don't get it. Like, if you think of the Dharma as a raft to cross over the ocean of misery, then you need to abandon the raft. Learn to swim, motherfucker. The only way out is through. And then people just have an excuse generator going on in their head, like, I just need to find a reason to not accept truth. And I'm like, bro, it's there. The less you do, the more you do. Just do it. That's simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was raised Roman Catholic. That's what my whole family is, all the way back, and they were, pretty solid. From 8 to 16 was confirmation time, and that was some shit. And I did. I studied. I looked further into religions. I really kind of just wanted to know the answer. And then I kind of realized something, which it kind of took me for a twist a couple of years back, and that's when you read the Bible, there's a point of explanation. You know what I mean? Like where they talk about the creation, about who came from the creation, who their children was, and how the bloodline, what happened, the sacrifice, and what happened after the sacrifice. And when you start looking further into that, I realized that after the flood, we are literally just talking about people's concepts of what they believe, what the story might be. And so whenever like people talk about the Bible and things, they always want to talk about Jesus and this and that. I'm like, no, respectively. Jesus was a great messenger, a son of God or not. In my mind, right now, fucking irrelevant. Doesn't even matter. Actually, everything from after the flood doesn't even matter. You want to know how to live a good life? It was explained to you. I mean, the fact that they had to basically tell Moses to write this out to explain it to you again is kind of mind-blowing, and nobody grasped it. Nobody did. Nobody was like, oh, wow, that's kind of an important thing,
Yeah, and then the nefarious part about it is they celebrate the death of the king instead of the message.
Right.
Oh. But did he not say that we can do things greater than him if our faith was like a mustard seed?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, even greater things will my disciples do. So where's the good stuff? Oh, yeah, because they believe in a book. They don't believe in the message.
And that's the worst part about religion, when it goes all the way around. When people want to argue about the important thing, I'm like, the most important part about religion is the message that you have watered down so much that now you've become a slave to the system of religion. And that's what it took me a while to pull myself away from, because I didn't realize how systematic it was. And it's not just Christianity, it's all of it.
All of them. Everything. Yeah. Crypto religion, communism religion, all of them. They're a noose, right? So like, let's say if I'm walking my dog and I'm guiding him with love and care because I don't want him to get hit by a car, that's one thing, dude. But if you have a bad master controlling with bad religion, it's gonna hang you. And look, like you just know by how people act. They think, well, we don't believe in idolatry, so therefore everything on the earth is not God and only God is good. Then what do? They look at everything in the world with contempt and hate, and then they look forward to their death. But in the meantime, they just ransack the world and pillage it. That's all they do. They got to conquer the world. That's it.
I remember it was about 3 years ago when I came to realization that with spiritual way, sometimes people are always trying to look for a good time. They're always trying to look to be happy. They're always trying to find happiness, when if they just stopped, slowed down for 1 second and looked around them, they could actually find it. They could be actually in that moment right there happy, but they're so caught up in the mind setting of looking for it that they don't even realize they are happy in that moment.
Right. It's your base nature. It's your resting state is happy.
That's right.
0 degrees Kelvin is happy.
Yep. I look at it and I'm like, my happiness, let's see here. Fucking, I know it's half slave talk, but I'm like, the fact that I'm comfortable right now. Like, I know that I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I could sit here and have this conversation with you guys. That is my happiness. I have found my level of comfort that has allowed me to be there.
Right. And you know what? That allows you to not be susceptible to new age bullshit. I've been hearing people talk about like teas and other stuff and like science and like, this is how they get us, dude, because you got to stick to fundamentals. Like there's no fucking star seeds, bro. That's a psyop. There's none of that shit. It doesn't matter what it is. If an alien comes from another planet in a fucking flying saucer and he tells me something other than truth that is revealed from the depths of my soul from our creator, and he tells me something is different, he can fuck off. That's all I'm saying. We're
Could you
allowing
imagine?
ourselves to consciously create a simulacra that's fucking us up.
Could you imagine an alien species coming to Earth with logic, straight understanding of logic, and looking around and going, "Oh, we gotta go." They're like,
These are
"Why?" They're like,
dangerous.
"These guys eat other species. This is really dangerous. Like, we don't know the outcome here."
If they're
Yeah,
good aliens,
if they're good aliens, I hope they are.
If they're good aliens, but if like what I'm saying is, an alien has, if they have free will, then natural law applies to them too.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I mean, if they're bad aliens, then I don't even think they'd come to Earth. I think they would just spread some sort of pandemic and just wipe us out. I think it'd be that easy for them.
Well, the Bhagavatam and other like ancient scriptures speak of extra dimensional beings, and scientism religion of Earth tries to convince us that all of the wonderful accomplishments of humanity were actually some pricks with a spaceship, and that's not true.
It's a cool idea though.
It's gay. Because what they don't want you to believe is that the strength to build Stonehenge is right in your fucking body.
Yeah.
That, like,
true.
whatever you want to call it, prana, odic force, chi, whatever it is, just wisdom and strength. And you know why we don't have that wisdom and strength today? Because we're bad people. Because as morality declines, freedom declines.
Oh, I think a lot goes with that too, as far as overall health too. You throw in the health aspect, and people are so toxic within their diet and how they live their lives that they wouldn't grasp that. I mean, they're Jeff knows this as a cyclist, as an endurance athlete. There's a moment when you're doing what you do, and it's as if your body is getting high. It's like you're getting high from what you're doing because you feel so good, and your body's releasing the chemicals, the dopamine, the endorphins, and you're flowing, and it is the greatest.
You're in the zone.
You're in the zone. You're in the chi, and it's like I think that's lost. The way that feeling is, and
I want you to believe that feeling comes from an outside source, whether it's an anti-gravity generator on a ship or a pill. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, even if you built a spaceship with the anti-gravity fucking tractor beam, that's all like directly, like it's still coming from source, but it's a very ass backwards mechanism. Think about it this way. You ever watched the Time Machine movie from like the early 2000s?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who's in that, but yeah.
You cannot create a technology to thwart natural law because the materials for that device come from nature. So it's a paradox. It's never going to work. So if people think you can build a superhighway and have clean energy, they are incorrect because we already have cold fusion. It's called the sun. It's about room temperature, more or less. Nuclear fusion. It powers all life on Earth. When the sun comes up, you wake up in the morning. When the sun goes down, you go to bed. And then if you need light and heat at night, you build a fire from things that are not going to pollute the environment. And the only reason why people think we need electricity is because people thought that what nature provided was insufficient. Okay, but there were enlightened civilizations that understand the technology of cutting a stone and moving it somewhere and working some materials without causing widespread megadeath across the planet, genocide of multiple species, simply to power our computers while we fucking bet on the fucking simulated combat of the NFL. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no, that's I get that. That's
you have to have a reason, and that reason doesn't have to be defined. But essentially, if I know there's a place that's a mile away from me, and I don't want to walk because I'm lazy, I could enlist a bunch of people to blow up a mountain and then extract the metal from the mountain in the form of iron ore, and then destroy all these forests, enslave all these workers to make a car so that my fat ass can get in the car and walk 1 mile.
Bro, you know how the people react when I tell them that buying new cars all the time is immoral and shit like
dude,
that.
it just happened. It just happened 2 weeks ago or whatever on the podcast. Like, dude was sitting there telling us we were crazy for owning older vehicles. I even told him, I'm like, dude, I have a 2009 Impala in the driveway that runs like shit. My fucking van runs 10 times better.
I got an 03 Lexus, and my car before that was an 85 town car.
Ooh, nice.
I have an 85 GMC pickup truck, and this thing goes and goes and goes and goes. Obviously, you got to work. Devin's. We're triggering Devin.
The last in the V8 and
shit,
Devin. So it's funny because when I used to give Devin shit for this, he understood it, and now he's heard some other arguments or something, and he's gotten confident, and he's pushing back on this one.
No, I what I think's real funny that you just brought up there in lighter terms is, growing up, they always taught us like how important the Industrial Revolution was and how impacting it was. And look at these amazing things. And then when you break it down, you're like, you know what? The Industrial Revolution was probably the most toxic thing that ever happened to this planet. Like, literally the terrible thing. And I hate to point it out too, but I'm pretty sure the washer and dryer, that little hand cranky thing to like wash laundry, that first design of it, that shit ruined women. God damn it. I hate to point it out, but it's like, it went from everybody having a concept of how to do jobs properly to, I feel like the world shifted to, let's figure out how to make things easier all the way across the board. Yeah. And then we just went into this huge like movement of it, of like, okay, what else can be easier? What else? And then all of those little fucking because, it wasn't just people making cars and trains and shit. I mean, all the way down to the gimmicks, down to the medications. I mean, everything became some sort of level of like, how do we make things better? How do we make life better? Here's cocaine in a bottle, maybe better. I mean, like, world was weird.
It's weird whenever I end up like having friends in real life, I don't know, they can't turn a screwdriver and it just baffles me. I mean, but I'm a mechanic. I've been a mechanic my whole life.
Same.
So it's like I see people that can't turn a wrench and it's just like, how have you survived this long? Like, and then like everyone's baffled by my knowledge. I don't even think I have that. Like, at least my mechanical abilities. Like, I don't, like I'm a good mechanic, but there should be, it should be every other guy knows how to work on a car. Like back in the day when everyone used to work on their cars, when cars were simple. Now you need a $50,000 computer to plug into the car for the car to tell you what's wrong. And you got to replace all these sensors that you can't see or diagnose as being failed. You have to carry extra sensors, like as far as, they make cars that wear out in 60,000 miles these days. In the 80s, they were making cars to last forever.
I came up with an answer for Devin actually about it. Remember, he asked us, when do you know a car is new enough to own? But what did he say? He was asking, like, how do you know a vehicle is too new or too old, newer? He was saying something like, because we were saying, how do you know a vehicle's
2018 or something, and he thinks that's an old car.
The answer that because he was asking about, like, how do you know if a vehicle's just old enough or something, or hold on.
You could buy it for a couple
when do we consider too old or too new or whatever? In my mind, I came up with the answer. The second that you cannot diagnose a problem with a vehicle with air, fuel, and spark, it's too fucking new. That's my mind setting, and that's about 2002, 2004, somewhere in that area.
Something that you could buy without creating taxes.
Which is also a great part of owning a used car that is over a certain age.
I got a
and
moped
then if the
that's
longer you drive that car does even less. What's he saying? Post the link for what? Your only argument is that change sales. No, that's not my only argument. That's just the main one I used to truthers.
Oh, I'll give you a good one. I'll give you a good one. Here, this is conning the government. If the vehicle is over 20 years old, I'll throw collector's plates on the fucking thing and let the fucking dash run like it is. And when I return it, because nobody shows up. Nobody goes, oh, what's the actual mileage of the vehicle? That's right, bro. I will pay bottom dollar for the insurance, bottom dollar for the plates. My old ass beat up vehicle will have collector's plates on it, and I'll drive that bitch whenever I want it. Fuck you, government.
Allie, when was the last time we've been to a vegan restaurant? Like of our own will. Like not someone taking us somewhere.
Oh, I went to one a couple weeks ago because me and the wife went on like a little vacation in the cities, and you got it.
Yeah, I think me and Allie went to a vegan restaurant 7 months ago, and that might have been the second time we've ever been to a vegan restaurant, Devin. So not a great example.
Bro, get this. Vegans get pissed off with shit like that too.
The whole point is doing the least amount of taxes in every aspect you go about. Like I have a diesel.
As a vegan?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, Devin's got some goofy. He's just very defensive because he's very into newer cars, and so
I'm just into cars,
just
bud.
like the harness, he has to make a fake
he's
argument to make himself feel better.
Tell himself,
Yeah,
that's okay.
It's okay. I mean, dude, he's not a carnist.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing is that
we all have to constantly be doing shadow work and constantly be changing our lives in a way that does less harm overall. So whether or not I spend taxes at a vegan restaurant a few times over 10 years, it's not the same as you buying a new car, creating a new taxable entity that will create tax revenue for the machine, the death machine, for the next 20 years, probably. I mean, maybe not 20 years.
That's why we're going to war.
Yeah, that's why we're going to war. This is all over. All the just keeping everybody buying new cars. That's all the government cares about. It's the biggest part of the economy. Keep thinking you own land by buying it, and keep buying new cars.
No, that's part of the marketing
into the system.
It's part of the marketing scam too to not have
system when you buy a new car.
Yeah, it's part of the marketing scheme too about not having people have older cars in a certain amount of years, because once the car hits a certain age, the taxes and the titling and the tabs for the vehicle get so fucking cheap that nobody makes anything. They don't want you to own that fucking car anymore. They want you to drive a new car that they can insure you for more money, that they can hit you for a larger amount of taxes. And then the banks also make off because chances are you actually don't have the money for the car in the first place, so you might have pulled a loan for it, so you got to pay the taxes and the percentage of the loan too. And it's a real nasty system we live in here.
To put gas in the car, they want to sell the oil, so they want them to buy American oil for.
Yeah, that's the problem with people going to state colleges and shit. People paying top dollar for education. That's mind blowing. And then when you look what they paid for their education, it's like, dude, you paid like 30 years for something that if you would have able to pay it out of pocket up front, you would have had that shit. Like, it's literally you paid twice to 3 times the amount of your education. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then they're working.
I have a diesel.
So they can pay for that fucking car.
I have an old diesel that I could get used engine oil, used vegetable oil, used hydraulic fluid, kerosene. It'll run off anything non-taxed. Don't just have to go to the fuel station. You always should be changing your life in ways that do less harm. And doing the new car thing is definitely not.
What are we in? Month 10? We're in month 10 of the year. I think I've maybe put 500 miles on my vehicle the whole year. I don't drive much. I ride bike everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, we just drove a lot because we were out in the desert at our gold claim and we were driving a lot. But normally we're mostly riding bikes.
Yeah, I got to drive my son down to the cities for his races. So that was probably the first couple 100 miles and then just a few back and forth trips.
We live a quarter of a mile from our little town. So there's no like commuting across town, across a giant city just to go to work, just to go do something, just to go shoot guns, go, whatever you're going to do, you're driving across town because you've decided to live in a city, which causes you to create more harm just to live there. and not counting the harm you're putting on yourself just being there. But there's all kinds of car stuff. You should always be making it more simple, and let like the taxes are less, the registration fees are less. There's all kinds of reasons why the new car thing is not the most moral thing if you're trying to be more or less immoral. Having a old car that's paid for, that you've kept a long time, it's a money printing machine on top of it. It's a money printing machine. Like, instead of going and buying, feeling like, oh, I deserve to have new plastic and leather around me, 2 years. I'm privileged. I'm a privileged enough human to deserve
King in the castle.
this giant amount of shit put into the world by creating a car, a new car.
It's a violence nugget. It's a violence nugget. Yeah. It's condensed violence.
No, I will say this much though. Companies like BMW do actually make always a cloth version of their sports interior. I always thought that was kind of cool. Even their newer version. You could still buy like a brand new 2024, 2025 BMW 3 Series with cloth interior, but sport model. Yeah. So you can still do that. I thought that was, not just BMW, like Mercedes and stuff. You can order.
There we go.
Still. But not that really matters. I just wouldn't. I don't know.
Let's critique this statement Devin just made. It's a free market economy, therefore I should be able to buy new car. Okay, Devin, that might be the least intellectual thing I've ever seen you say as long as I have known you. Free market isn't about you're able to buy whatever the fuck you want, bro. Like, it has nothing to do with that.
That's called an able market.
It has to do with government controlling the market. It doesn't have anything to do with you buying a new car. So saying some anarchist after making that statement when you've defined free market in an incorrect way. We don't have a free market either. So even if you like nothing, there's so many reasons why that statement's wrong, bro. And I love you, dude. Like, you're one of my best buddies. But that's that you gotta check in on that statement.
So
we don't live in a free market. It's not free market to buy everything. I don't know what you're trying to say. Come on, bro. You don't want to fight with me.
You need to be, as an anarchist, you need
no,
to
we live in what's called an able market. You are put in a position where you are able to get yourself the car that you want. So your mind setting said, well, dude, I'm able to do this. And if I can do it and I want to do it, I'm going to do it. But at some point, I bet you there was a time in your mind where you thought it would have been really, really fucking cool to own like an 80s BMW 3 Series or like maybe like an early 90s Honda Acura or something, slammed to the ground, nicely built engine or something.
When I got band money, I went directly and bought an M3 and put a supercharger in it.
I'm a Beamer guy. I love Beamers.
Like, when I had disposable money for a short amount of time,
it's an unquenchable thirst.
It was a 98 M3.
Ooh, E36 chassis.
Yeah. So he's keeps saying newer car. When I say new car, I mean car that's actually worth a lot of money, because a car, when you go to register it, that's worth a lot of money, they're going to tax you a percentage of that large amount of money. So an old car that's worth $1,000 that you can drive the rest of your life if you just take care of it, it's going to incur over the decade quite a lot less taxation revenue for the state, for subsidy, for animal subsidies, meat and dairy, agriculture subsidies, for the war machine. It's the more you're choosing by buying a newer car that's worth whatever $20,000, they're going to ding you 10% of that every time you register it. So it's not. I'm not saying. I am saying fresh new car, but also newer generation cars, which 2000 on, really, even early 2000 cars are still garbage and not made to actually last a long time. Where does
it have Bluetooth? If it's got Bluetooth, the chances are it's got problems.
Yeah. So fighting for the side that does more taxes is not a moral position to have. I get it. You like newer cars. you're feeling like you have to defend yourself like the carnist, but it's not a more moral position to be in, buying new cars whenever you want, or, you know, spending top dollar, paying tax registration, all that shit on your V8. Let's also point out the fact that you're buying the biggest engine you can put in a car, pretty much, which you don't need. You don't have a job where you need to be driving around a V8 all day. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why I think you're full of shit on this position.
But I will give you this.
So far, your examples back at me aren't that great. You are choosing to give away more taxation, and you're also choosing to give away more of your freedom by committing yourself to payments and all this stuff. Yeah. So
I will say this much. I think that you having a car with a V8 in it.
Why are you registering a car as an anarchist? We all know who wins that argument. You're registering your car as an anarchist, so you're not winning. So I'm not sure.
I'm not an anarchist. I never claimed to be an anarchist. I'm a revolutionist. That's my belief on the whole system. I think if you stand there and you claim that you are 100% an anarchist and everybody else is wrong, you are so full of shit. You don't even realize the fucking world that you live in.
Right.
Devin knows he can't get into who's more anarchist argument with me, bro. You still love living in a city and, you know, all that stuff.
I'll tell you, it's me because I listen to Crass and Quincy Punks. Therefore, on my punk rock level, I'm more anarchist. But
Christian,
I also don't claim to be. Huh?
One of the potential new fools is the son of the singer of Crass, Nemo.
No way.
Yeah, I was in a group with him, and he flipped out on me with some others, and he was the admin of the group and let other admins kick all of us out of it. And then he wrote me a letter. Like backpedaling. He wrote me this huge letter backpedaling. He's all, oh shit, I watched some more of your content. And, you know, he tried to explain, he tried to paint a different picture of how it happened.
Okay.
He almost ended up on the fools list, but he's at least trying to get along and trying to, you know, he was like, it wasn't cool for them to kick you guys out. I took over the gatekeeping of that group now. So he at least, but he was acting as irrational as everyone else was when I went in there originally. They're all they're like new people out of Mark Passio's last class. So they think they're all hot shit. And so, you know, I went over there and got dogpiled and left the group, and Allie and Braxton were still in there, and they were just like, we were super nice to them. We weren't being crazy vegans or anything, and they were being very concise and articulate about what they were saying, and the people in there just fucking flipped out and kicked them out, kicked Allie and Devin out. Devin's the nicest guy in the world. Braxton, sorry. Bracky's like our nicest dude, and
Braxton is super nice.
Yeah. And these people, they were all like,
he's a sweetheart.
You can't break other people down because they're hanging out with me, and I've been calling out Will and Logan Hart for doing sketchy shit and just not progressing. In 6 years, these guys still put out garbage. And yet they're held up as like the like one great work freaking leaders or some shit, but that's gonna change. But yeah, so I don't know. We gotta get off. I gotta go on at 5 o'clock. I got some shit I gotta do. Thanks for the chat, Darren.
I was just happy to hear you guys talking about natural law.
Oh, of course.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right.
All right. Well, it's at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock Pacific, the podcast. Peace.
I'll be rooting for you.